All right, just before we take some calls, I want to make this announcement and then give a couple shout-outs. So the For Him and Them Mental Health Ministry presents their 8th annual luncheon. And the topic this year will be suicide awareness. It's going to be this Saturday. I'm sorry, not this Saturday, but yeah, this Saturday, October 1st, from 12 to 2 at St. Paul UAME Church, 3114 North Market Street. Tickets are only $10, and lunch is included. For more information, you can call 764-4500. Once again, the number is 764-4500. You can also call 764-5618. 764-5618. Once again, that's this Saturday, October the 1st at St. Paul's Church on 31st and Market. The topic will be suicide awareness for the 8th annual luncheon for Him and Then Mental Health Ministry. We've been showing a lot of the video and the pictures from our annual Seniors Cookout. So I just want to thank everyone who made that event another success. I want to thank all of the volunteers who come out year after year and just come out and help us to serve the seniors. I want to thank all the seniors for coming and just being a lot of fun. You can see a little bit how fun it was from the video that Avin put together, but it's a lot of fun. You just have to come out and be a part of it. I want to thank the PAL Center for opening their doors, and the PAL Center is like the perfect location just because there's so much room in there. The seniors get to dance. You saw a lot of them were dancing. We have dance contests, just a lot of fun. So I want to thank all of the staff at the funeral home for volunteering their time and just making that a special day for our seniors. That's a day that it's an event that we have been doing for well over 20 years. I think it's a little bit more than 20 years. I know it's close to around 20 years. It started at our house, and we then moved it to different churches. We had it at the Longshoreman a few years, but it's just grown and grown and grown. So we just want to thank the community just for allowing us to serve you, and just again, just thank the seniors for coming out every Labor Day, just having a great time. It's a lot of fun. So if you missed it this year, make sure you're there. It's always Labor Day Monday from 12 to 3. It's really just for the seniors who live in the high rises within the city, but we open the doors for everyone. So it's just a lot of fun. So make sure you're there next Labor Day. All right, I do want to. I'm gonna take this phone call real quick. All right, thank you for calling. Hello. Hello. Oops, I'm not sure if I hung up on him. I do apologize, but when I was thinking about different topics to talk about for the next 15 or 20 minutes, someone mentioned I should talk about before and after entertainment in their rooftop party that was canceled. Hold on 1 second. Hello, thank you for calling.
Yes, I'd like to talk on the air.
Sure. You're on the air now.
Yes.
If you can turn your TV down, please. But you're live on the air now.
Thank you. I'd like to make the points in regards to the mayor's race that I've encountered a lot of residents and citizens.
Say that one more time. I'm sorry.
Already over, I'm calling because I want to make it clear to our residents that the race is not over.
Okay.
We have the Democratic candidate nominee, Mr. Przicki, but then we also have the independent candidate, Mr. Stephen Washington, and there's also a Republican candidate, Robert Portman. The things that are important to me in this particular contest is economic development, which I feel that revitalization of the city of Wilmington should be the plan going forward versus what I see happening in the newspaper is the Buccini Group and Mr. Przicki's development group buying up properties in the city, and I fear that gentrification is just around the corner. should he win the mayor's office. So I'm opposed to Mr. Krasicki being voted in as mayor, and I encourage the rest of Wilmington citizens to stand up and take a position because this vote is very important. And if gentrification should happen, that is not a good thing for people of lower income or even middle income families. And we need to understand the ramifications of whether Mr. Krasicki would be voted in to mayor. I also think public policing, public safety is an important topic that we need to be concerned with in crime. I think community policing is a topic that should be at the forefront of conversations, and police walking through our neighborhoods and getting to know our residents is one of the ways that we can begin to combat crime in the city and move us forward. So those are just two I think very important points that I wanted to highlight to the citizens in the city of Wilmington, and make sure that they understand that, number one, the contest is not over.
Right.
They have an opportunity to register and vote, or register to vote by October the 15th. The guest that you had on, Miss Morris, she alluded to that.
Right.
I encourage the younger population, those who are of age to vote, the millennial group, to register to vote, exercise your right to vote, because a lot of people have paid a significant price, their lives in some cases, and sacrificed, and for us to have this opportunity to vote. So it's a very important vote coming up, Wilmington, and I'm encouraging each and every one of the citizens in Wilmington, especially African Americans and minorities, stand up, exercise your right to vote. This is your city just as well as it is mine. And if we should fall asleep at the wheel, we have no one but to blame but ourselves.
Right.
So thank you, Mr. Congo, for giving me this opportunity to speak to these points this evening.
All right, I appreciate your call. You brought us some excellent points. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Yeah, I'm just going to talk about that briefly. But he is correct. The race does continue to go on. Matter of fact, mayoral candidate Stephen Washington is going to be on our show, I believe, on October the 14th. Thank you for calling. Hold on one second, please. He's going to be on our show on October the 14th, just to talk about his platform and talk about why you should support him. He's been pretty busy. Just getting the word out that the election isn't over. A lot of times we get caught up in national politics, but we still have very important elections right here in Wilmington, and it's important to be a part of the process. It's important to get registered if you're not registered, so that you can be a part of the process. I think voter turnout was around 20% for the primaries, and it's embarrassing. We do have to do better, and we do have to participate, because when we don't participate, sometimes those who are running for certain offices don't pay any attention to those who don't participate. So we're really doing ourselves a disservice. A lot of times all the focus and all the energy goes to those individuals who they know vote and vote year after year. And that's where all their priority goes. So we have to make sure that we're a part of that group that gets paid attention to. So please, I want to just encourage you to get registered to vote. Take your friends with you, take your family members, your grandchildren, your grandparents. Just get registered so that we can just have a greater voice in Wilmington. And he also brought up a point about gentrification. And for those of you who may not be familiar with that term, it's just a term where I'm sorry, I'm not speaking to you on the phone. I'm just talking. Just hold on one second for me, okay? I don't want you to think I was talking to you, saying that you don't know what it means. But it's a term where lower income, it's usually black and Hispanic people are moved or almost forced out of the city, and those who have higher incomes, take over the city. And that's what the gentleman was talking about. His fear that a lot of the development that may be taking place now and in the future is a sign of black people and Hispanics and those with who are generally lower income being almost forced out of Wilmington, and others, mainly white people coming into Wilmington and taking up the residents in Wilmington. So that's a fear that has been talked about recently with all the development that's going on in Wilmington. Yes, thank you for calling.
Yes, good evening, Trippy.
Hey, good evening.
I'd just like to congratulate my friend, Velda Jones-Potter.
Okay.
And Sherry Dorsey.
All right.
And I'd like to piggyback off of what you said and what the first caller said.
Yes.
Since I've been doing elections, and I did Shortledge, that we didn't have such a turnout, and it was a disgrace.
Yes.
November the 8th is such an important race that we need to realize that, and we need to get out and exercise our rights and pay attention.
Right, you're right. You're
the
absolutely
mayor in
right.
place, because the mayor who we elect needs to get on board, along with the council members and the police, and to piggyback off what that gentleman said, we need to bring policing back in our community.
You're right.
It's a time that we take accountability and we start doing these things and putting them in place. You have a blessed evening.
All right, thank you. You do the same. Thanks for calling. Yeah, I'm glad that you brought that up about community policing. And we have got to do a better job of, in my opinion, of bringing back community policing to our neighborhoods. Thank you for calling. Hold on 1 second, please. I guess when I was growing up, I was used to seeing officer friendlies visit the school. He always had his K-9 with him. And I was just used to seeing officers walking the street a lot more than I'm seeing now. And that's something that the community has been crying for, and a lot of us on city council have been crying for and demanding for a very, very long time. So we have to realize that how important that can be in establishing relationships between the community and the officers, establishing trust. And that goes a long way, because it can help solve crimes, because when the community is more comfortable and they know an officer, they're going to be more willing to share with them, share information with them. If they know that officer is trustworthy and that they can just go up to him and speak to him and know that their privacy will remain a priority. So it's important that we bring that back. And I just can't stress that enough, how we just have to have community officers walking the beat and not just riding by in their cars. It works wonders. I mean, we've had the state come in and walk our neighborhoods, and they've seen the difference immediately in how they're accepted. So we just have to get back to our own officers. I know it happens. I know it's happening, but it's not happening to the level that I expect and that the community deserves. So I mean, we just need a shift to more community police officers. Policing. I know that there's I guess a theory in the police department that every officer is a community police officer. But the community needs to see that. It's one thing to say it, but the community needs to see those officers walking their neighborhoods, and we need to welcome them with open arms. So when you see them doing that, say hi to them, start up a conversation, and tell them your concerns. It's important that they take the initial step, but once they take that step, it's important for us to accept them and not shun them and not be disrespectful towards them, because they're doing us a service, and we need to appreciate the service that they're doing for us. So it's important that we get back to community policing. Yes, thank you for calling.
Yes. Am I on the air?
Yes, you are.
Okay. Good evening, dear.
Good evening.
And I want to mention two things. First of all, I want to say I'm very sorry about the firefighters.
Yes, ma'am.
Lost.
Yes.
I think it's been a long time in Wilmington since we had this occur, especially multiple people dying.
Very sad.
And I'm just so sorry about that. But the other thing I want to mention is in politics.
Yes.
I want this to be a lesson to us in Wilmington, that the person that won mayorship he won from his own neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
So that's not the only factor that his people came out in droves from his neighborhood, but of course there was multiple people running, and other people in the city did not come out to vote. But that's
Right.
a shame that he was out of just his own neighborhood. That's amazing to me.
Right. You're right. You're right. He had a lot of support from Republicans who switched their party affiliation
Let us
to Democrats.
remember that in the city.
Yes.
So that doesn't happen again. Thank you, dear.
All right. You're welcome. Thanks for calling. And again, I know a lot of people are upset about the outcome, but we cannot be mad that that it happened the way it did, because it was perfectly legal. It was an excellent idea, and you really can't be mad at Mr. Pazicki for doing what he did, because it worked. And we just need to know how to mobilize and to organize and do the same thing that he did. And I don't want to cast this like a dark shadow over Mr. Pazicki, because honestly I don't know him, and if he is elected in November, or if Steve is elected in November, Stephen Washington is elected in November, or if the Republican candidate is elected in November, I think that we just have to hold whoever is our next mayor. We have to hold them accountable. We have to work with them. We have to stand together for some of the issues that are going to be important to us. It's important that after the election that we just don't fall back and expect for whoever the mayor is to work his magic. When things are going right, we have to be there for him. When things are going wrong, we have to be there and say, look, this is wrong. This is how we want it done. It doesn't end at the election. I think that's where it starts, and that has to be our frame of mind, that we have to stay involved, and we have to get to know our neighbors. We have to get to know our communities. We have to get to know our civic association groups, and just be a part of the machine that can make our city a better city. Yes, thank you for calling.
Hi, my name is Tyron Roberts, and I would just like to thank the Congo family for paying it forward, and the many senior citizens that have paved the way.
Oh, thank you. All right, I appreciate that.
For support.
All right, thank you. Thank you
And
very
I'd like
much.
for you to explain to us how we could volunteer our services.
All right, thank you very much. All right, thank you for calling.
Hey, Trippy.
Yes.
How you doing? This is Julius.
Hey, Julius.
I want our community to know the same thing happened with Governor Merkel. He had the same thing. He did the same thing with the Republicans, with the Democrats. That's how he won. That's how Norman Griffin won, because they got the Republican votes. This happens all the time. We keep falling asleep at the wheel, but
Right.
again, the lady said it right. It was a neighborhood, but this has happened a few times. It's not racial, it's economics.
Mm-hmm.
It happened with Markel and John Cornyn. They both were white. The same thing happened to him. So I want to make that point.
All right. Thanks, Julius. I appreciate that.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Again, we just can't be mad at those who make the system work for them. I think that if we want the system to work for us, we just have to get involved. We have to vote. You have to bring your family and your friends to vote. You just can't say that voting isn't important, because obviously it is. I think we have to do a better job of choosing candidates from our community and not letting, I'm not going to say not letting, because we really can't stop anyone from running, but we have to be, I guess, wiser in who we're going to support. Whether from city council up to the governor, we have to be wise in what our strategy is on who's running for what, and we just can't have that many candidates running for one position, because at the end of the day we're gonna lose every time unless more people get registered to vote. And a lot of people have talked about just forming organizations around political candidacy. Hold on one second. Yes, thank you for calling.
Good evening, Chicago, Steve Washington.
Hey, Steve, how you doing?
Now, if it gets any better, I'm not sure what I may do, but I just wanted to tap in and let you all know, and let the community know, that there will be a fundraiser for me on Friday, September 30th.
Okay.
A celebration from 5 o'clock to 8 o'clock. So I ask that everyone just come out so they can hear what we have to talk about. And I thank you for allowing me to talk to you all regarding my platform, and I'm excited, I'm hopeful, and I just ask that the community to hold tight to their faith because change is coming, and it's coming in the right way. But the only way it can change is if we, as a community, get out and vote. Because voting is free. Sometimes we pay for a lot of things, but this time people lost their lives for us to vote. Now people are losing their lives because we don't vote. So we need to really get out and vote. This is a serious time in our life. Thank you. God bless you.
All right, thanks a lot. That's going to be our last call. I think it's about that time, Dave, for me to wrap up. 9:30. It's about time for me to wrap up. No, okay, all right. Okay, so we can keep taking calls for a little bit. I appreciate that. And again, I think a lot of what gets lost around crime. Crime is obviously a priority, and it's at the forefront of a lot of our concerns. But we can't lose focus. We can't lose sight of how important education is. If we improve our school systems and if we improve parental involvement and interaction between parents and the schools, a lot of the crime will go away. I believe a lot of the concerns that we have in our city will lessen. But we have to get our hands around our school system and how important it is that we educate our children to the highest level. We can have police officers on every block, but that doesn't change the mentality of a person. The only thing that I believe that does that is education. So I know that's a long-term goal, but it's a goal that we have to focus on. We have to pay attention to, because I don't want us to get so involved and so caught up in policing that we forget how more important education is than policing. Yes, thank you for calling.
Hi, Trippy. This is Jacqueline Charmaine. How are you?
Hey, I'm okay. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you for asking. I tell you, all of your topics on today have been so important to our nation.
Thank you.
And to our city and to our county. And with you now switching over to education, I thought it was very important that I call in to tell the listeners about the program that's going to be happening in October.
Okay.
Because, October is National Bullying Awareness Month. And that's an issue that our youth are experiencing, dying from daily. And we really need to educate them more on that. So we have a program going on in October called SODAS. SODA stands for Save Our Daughters and Sons. And that's basically a recycling project where we're taking beverage, aluminum cans, and we're recycling those and allowing those funds to go toward better education when it comes to bullying awareness and prevention, teaching our children how to respect each other's differences and not use violence as a way to say, I don't like you, I don't want you in my life, I don't think you deserve to live. So that project is going on from October 1st to October 31st. And our organization has partnered with a lot of different businesses, churches, organizations in the city where they're saying they will be sponsored locations. And what that means is the Newcastle County can bring their recyclable aluminum cans to our sponsored locations, and we will pick up from our sponsored locations and take that over and turn those cans, turn their trash into treasures. So we will use that money to better educate our youth, because our youth are dying. I just saw the 19-year-old girl on your obituary this evening, and I was told she has a 6-month-old baby.
Yes.
That's going to have to grow up without her. And we have to really get our loving arms, around our youth and teach them bullying is not the way. So SODAs, we're so excited about that. Our first launch is the 1st, and we're going to be at the Harley-Davidson in Newcastle, giving away food, giving away sodas, giving away everything is free. We have door prizes, and all you have to do is bring a can. Bring as many cans as you can, beverage cans, and just begin to get that out there. Go on our website, call us, do whatever. I'll make sure I give you the information later.
All right.
So when people call you, you have it, and begin to wrap our arms around this bullying.
All right. Thank you so much. I hate to cut you off, but I think I have to end the show right now.
That's
All right, but
quite all
thanks
right.
for your
Appreciate
call.
your time. Thank you so much.
All right, you're welcome. Thank you. So again, I guess I just want to challenge everyone out there who's watching to just challenge yourself and ask, what are you going to do to be a part of the solution? Are you going to get registered to vote? Are you going to register people who are not voted, who are not registered? So next week I'm going to take live calls again, and I want you to Sam Guy is here, and he's giving me some direction. I gotta listen to Sam Guy because he is one of my idols politically and community-wise. So I'm not sure what he's telling me to do, but I want to take live calls next week, just so you can and tell me what you have done this week to get people registered to vote. So that's gonna be your challenge this week, to get people registered to vote. If you're not registered, to get yourself registered to vote. I want you to call in live next week and tell me what you have done, just to be a part of a solution. If it's not around voting, I want you to call me and tell me that you went out and you met your neighbor, or you went out and you found out about your civic association group, and you went to a meeting, that you came to a city council meeting. Just challenge yourself to just get more involved, and you can tell me your testimony next Sunday. We'll also take live calls, and it is an honor to be joined by Attorney Sam Guy. He snuck on the set, so thanks for coming on, man.
Hey,
what's going on?
When I came in, and it was time for us to make the transition.
Yes.
And I saw you were rolling with the people,
Oh, man,
having fun.
Appreciate
so I told
that.
them, I said, let them keep going. Let them keep
thanks,
going.
man.
You know
Appreciate that.
That's the beauty of us having our own television
That's
station
true.
in our community.
That's true.
We can cooperate with each other and do as we want to do. We no different than CNN or MSNBC.
That's right.
I want to come on with you.
Okay.
Because I want you to know, like, how proud I am of you. There was once a day when me and Norman Oliver were the young bucks on city council. That was a long time ago, but there was once that he and I went to Del State together. But we used to be the young bucks on council. And as I was on council, and as I started to get a little bit older, I started to say, who are the next round of young folks that we have coming up?
Right. That's something I asked myself too.
Yeah.
Same thing. Like, who's next?
Well, that was you.
No, I mean, even after me. Even after me. Like, who's next?
Who's coming up next? Right.
Yeah.
So I've been proud to see you on council, to see you looking out for people on the community, in the community, and I'm hoping I can get there in November and get a chance to work with you.
We definitely have to support you, Sam. I mean, what you will bring to the table is beyond what I can try to articulate on this show. I mean, just your wealth of knowledge and your passion for community. We talked about it before, but you have to be on city council come November, in January, just because you bring so much to the table, and I don't think most people even realize it. But I know I didn't. I didn't realize just how much research you do and how much you know how the system works, and how you can make that system work for us. When I say us, I mean the black community. I'm going to be frank.
Right.
I'm not saying that you won't look out for all people, but I know that you have a passion for African American people and minorities, and that what you bring and your passion for running for city council is definitely, it's not about you. It's about trying to make this a better city, try to make us a better council. And I just look forward to working with you and learning from you.
Yeah, I have a couple of rules I used to have for at large, and that is everything has to be good for all of the people in the city. Right. And so, that's going to be important for me to keep in my mind if I can get past this November hurdle, that whatever's going on in the city needs to be for the benefit of everybody. I was just talking to somebody today, and this is like a historic election cycle, because I can remember when I was younger, when we were aspiring for there to be African American and Hispanic elected officials on city council, and a lot of people haven't really talked about this, but the Hispanic community just was wiped off the entire table. So there's actually going to be no Hispanic elected officials on city council at all.
It is a tragedy, because Maria Cabrera, she was an excellent city council person. It's unfortunate that she's no longer going to be one. She has a passion for people that is just unbelievable, and it's definitely a loss to council and to her community. But I'm sure she's going to stay busy. I mean, she's already staying busy, but she is just a person who did a great job in my eyes on city council.
Well, the next group of folks on council are going to have to, help Vash, hopefully, make sure that the Hispanic community is treated in a fair way, because I know all my lifetime I've always kind of looked out as the Hispanic community emerged. I remembered what we went through as the African American community in Wilmington, not being represented, not having folks at the table back when I was very young, and then we started to get more and more folks at the table. So the African American community is going to be represented through Wilmington City Council, right? And so there's no reason, as I see it, for the African American community to get mistreated, or else that means that pretty much the council isn't being vigilant. So I don't think that that's going to take place. I think everybody's going to have to figure out how to work together so that everybody benefits from what the city offers.
Right, that's important. Just like you say, everybody benefits, and that more people just become involved. I think that's one of our biggest struggles, is going to get just everyday people involved in what we do, and just hold us accountable.
Right. Yep. Were there any more people calling? If they want to call in, they certainly welcome.
Yeah, we still have the number on the screen. I think it's still on. So if you have any comments that you want to get across, or if you have any questions for Mr. Guy or for myself, just give us a call. The number is on the screen. Just remember to please turn your TVs down before you do call.
I do like to remind people that the at-large race isn't really over, because the way at-large works, in November, there'll be 3 Democrats on the ballot, 3 Republicans on the ballot, and 1 independent on the ballot. So there will be 7 people on the ballot, and everybody in the city gets to vote for 3, and the top 4 vote getters become council people at large.
Okay. I want you to, because I just learned something about that yesterday. So we don't necessarily have to have a Republican on council. It can be the independent.
It could be 3 Republicans and 1 independent if they're the top 4 vote getters.
Okay.
So that's why I don't want people to fall asleep.
Okay. So it just depends on who gets.
Top 4 vote getters, right?
Regardless of party affiliation. Okay. All right. I'm glad you cleared that up. Yes. Thank you. Can you please turn your TV down? But thank you for calling.
Yes, you're all blanking out on the TV.
Oh, we are? Okay. All
right. We can't hardly see you.
Okay. All right. Thank you for bringing that to our attention.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Jasmine's grandmother.
All right. Hey, how you doing?
Fine, are you?
I'm all right. Thank you for calling. Thanks for watching.
Yeah, as I was saying, a lot of people are misinformed. Some people believe that it has to be 3 Democrats and 1 Republican. That's not what the law states. The law prohibits any party from having more than 3 members of their party in those 4 city council at large seats. So that's why the Democrats can only nominate 3, Republicans can only nominate 3, and there's 1 independent.
Right.
So everybody gets 3 votes, and the top 4 vote getters win the seats.
Okay. I'm glad you cleared that up. All right. Thank you for calling.
Yes. I had a question for Mr. And I'm wondering. He mentioned voting a straight Democratic ticket, but I was privy to a conversation that he had with Mr. Washington at one point in time when I thought he said that he would support Mr. Washington. So I'm a little bit confused by his statement of voting a straight Democratic ticket versus voting an individual rather than party. Could he comment to that?
Yeah, your most important word that you said is what you thought was said. Because I had no reason to make any kind of commitments to Mr. Washington, and if I did, Mr. Washington would be on TV saying that I'm supporting him. So whatever that was that you thought, you're misinformed.
All right. Thank you, sir.
All right. Thank you.
and I actually haven't said anything about the next election and who I'm supporting, the next round of elections. But while I'm sitting here, so nobody gets it twisted, I'm supporting you.
Oh, thanks.
So I haven't actually said anything else about any other race at all.
That,
and there's other people that I'm going to support. But I've also made a public statement, and if you look at my push card, I've publicly stated everybody on my push card are people that I'm supporting. So if you see anybody on that push card that made it past the primary, you can count on me supporting them too, because I'm not a person who double crosses people.
All right, that's good. That's good. I mean, I already knew that. Hey, Mr. Guy, what made you run again? What made you want to be a part of City Council? Well,
I announced it actually when leading into the last weeks. What I realized was that there was an assault, if you will, an effort to basically wipe out all of the gains that we've made from a civil rights perspective when it comes to representation.
Okay.
Because in the city of Wilmington is really, you know, a place where you would expect to see several minority elected officials, African Americans, Hispanic, white, but you'd see a mixture of minority elected officials. And so it seemed to be an undercurrent almost to try to just wipe everybody off the table to the extent that that was possible. And so given that I kind of was involved in the creation of African American political empowerment, I felt this was time for warriors to step up and get on the field and participate in making sure that there is representation. So as a councilman at large, I have experience. I represent everybody throughout the whole city. But there's some special attention that has to be paid to the African American community because we are disproportionately lacking access to things like quality education, jobs, housing, and it seems as if as we continue to look at the city of Wilmington, people from the outside working with people on the inside seek to exploit Wilmingtonians and take anything and everything of value and leave the folks that are here with nothing.
Okay.
And so that's one of my biggest concerns. And so I hope to be sitting at the table to make sure that the people that don't have an opportunity to improve their plight.
Okay.
Because the folks that they have lawyers, lobbyists, and everything else in the world to make sure that they get what they need. But folks have to actively seek to get what the community needs. You have to work it that hard.
I want you to, I'm glad you brought that up about why you ran again, because I want you to help educate me. You said there was an attempt that you saw like an undercurrent to try to wipe out some of the political power in the African American community. Can you talk about that for a minute?
Well, if you recall, there was a piece of legislation that was introduced.
Right.
And what that legislation was kind of designed to do was to get the current council to agree to let the next council restructure the government.
Right.
Well, that was part of a grand plan to take over and then restructure so that the minority community never would have an opportunity to be empowered again.
Okay.
My expertise is in redistricting and structures of government, like Voting Rights Act. That's what I've been doing all of my life.
Okay.
And so the smaller the districts are, the greater the chance there are for minority group members to run for office and win seats because the resources needed aren't as great. Like it's difficult to run at large. But if you look throughout the state of Delaware, the bigger the district is, the more difficult it is for just regular citizens to be able to run for office. You have to have this major network with a lot of money that you can access to be able to be successful in statewide elections. So like Lisa Bradley, that's an exception to be able to run statewide because she has access to the resources necessary. And when she didn't have access to the resources, I made sure I told her about the organization. See, when I was with the state NAACP, there's been ongoing discussions about having a national network of people with money to help people run for Congress and the U.S. Senate.
Mm-hmm.
And so folks in Delaware didn't know anything about that. So when I shared that with her, and she was able to tap into the national network. So her money went from 0 to 100 real quick.
So I guess I have to be honest with you. That legislation that was being introduced for the to try to reduce council, I support it. And I guess I've been talking about that on council for years. And I'll give you some background as to why. But I want you to help. And I'm glad you have helped educate me why. I should maybe take a different point of view on it. I know that the city of Wilmington has too many employees. I believe that they do. Hold on 1 second, please. Thank you for calling.
Hello?
Hi, hold on 1 second, please.
Okay.
I know the city of Wilmington always has, a budget where we're struggling not to raise taxes and if we have to raise taxes, not to raise them to a point that's really going to hurt people. I know a lot of that is because of our current workforce. And we have a lot of employees, and we're always going through different departments trying to ask them, or trying to see how we can reduce the number of employees in each department. But we have never done that on council, so I thought it was unfair. So I started taking a look at other cities across the country, and I was seeing how they, in major cities, don't have as many council members as Wilmington does. So I just, I started talking about it on council floor years ago about how we need to take a look at about how many council members we have, because I'm not sure if it's fair to the other departments in the city and to the residents that we continue to have a council as large as ours with a population, relative to the population. So, a lot of times, for many years it went unheard, and I just kept talking about it, and then, President Gregory, he finally introduced something a few months ago for what you're talking about. So I thought it was unfair that we're constantly asking other departments to reduce, but we never reduced our council. And I thought it was unfair to the public to foot the bill of a council as large as ours, when other major cities like Charlotte and LA, they don't have councils as big as we do. So that's why I was constantly talking about maybe we need to reduce council. And I guess in my mind, and this is probably just my immaturity and not knowing, I was thinking that if we still want to keep the same type of representation on council, if we combine the 1st and the 2nd district, most likely of a history we've always had, a black council person in the 1st and 2nd. So if we combine them, we're still going to have an African American council person. If we combine the 3rd and the 4th, and which historically has always had an African American in the seat, we would still have an African American in the seat. And if we combine the 5th and the 6th, the same thing. And then the 7th and 8th would still have the representation they've had historically. And then at large, we maybe make some reductions at large too. But listening to you, listening to other people, talking about how we don't need to give up the power that we fought so hard to get a hold of. So I guess can you talk to me about that?
Well, see, everything that you said makes sense to me.
Right.
So there's no disagreement in that analysis.
Okay.
The part that I'm sprinkling over the top of it is the Voting Rights Act component and the practicalities of politics.
Okay.
The larger that district gets, the greater the opportunity from somebody outside of the district or a group of people to come in and interfere with and influence the outcome.
Okay.
And that's why there's some folks who want to increase the size of the district so that folks can get back control over the city of Wilmington. Okay. So let's use an example of your district. You're able to campaign in a small district, right? It's manageable.
Right.
As soon as you double that size, what you have to do is much different. It's now the size of a state rep district, right? So now external forces can pump money in to a district and knock a person off, such as yourself, because the district has become large enough where they can put somebody up against you, put another person in the race, provide the financing, put in the get out the vote operation. All forces outside that are trying to take over the city. But when you have these little small districts, if you look at Wilmington City Council right now, most of the people representing the council districts are neighborhood or community-based people, and other neighborhood or community-based people can run it. Vash couldn't win his seat if that district was so large that forces outside of Wilmington pumped in money to cut him out. But because it's small enough to be a neighborhood district,
I got you.
He's able to represent that district. So, you know, what you're saying is accurate, but then you got to sprinkle on the other part. And I could take you back to the creation of the current structure and kind of take, one day I'll do this with you and show you year by year.
Hold on 1 second, please.
How the representation changed. So in sports, once the minority community gets good in sports, the rules get changed so that, you know, they tigerized the golf courses, right? They made it so Wilt Chamberlain couldn't stay in the lane. They added the three-point shot. In America, what people do is, as soon as we get good at playing the game, folks want to come change the rules of the game.
All right, I got you. Yeah, I appreciate that lesson. That's why I need you. Now, thank you for calling.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm calling to the number of city council. Has there always been a number of 13 members in city council?
As far as I know, but Mr. Guy can answer that better than I can.
Yes. Can Mr. Guy elaborate on that?
Yeah, I won't say there's always been, but if you go into the lobby of Wilmington City Council, of the City Hall building, there's a series of photographs that will let you see.
Hold on, please.
Yeah, there's a series of photographs that will let you see, going all the way back probably for 100 years, where you can see how many people are on city council. The current form of city council started in around the 60s. But before this form, there were 13 members of council. Then they switched to this 8-district, 4 at-large, president of city council format in the 60s.
Excuse me, Mr. Trippy.
All right, thank you. Yes, yes.
Excuse me, Mr. Trippy.
Yes, thanks for calling.
Hi, Mr. Sam Guy.
Hello.
Hi, you guys. Look, I got a very important question.
Yes.
Okay, I'm Democrat, right? And,
yes.
And we got this discussion going on right now. If you're a Democrat or a Republican and you can't go over and vote independent, or you can. That's the question.
Yes, but I'll let Mr. Guy. He's the expert.
Well, I mean, it's like this. In November, everybody can vote for whoever they want to vote for in November. So it's not like the primary where you only can vote in your party's primary. In November, anybody can vote for anybody. So that's why I keep reminding people that my election is not over. I need to make sure that folks who supported me and who do support me get out and vote.
So as long as I'm being blood, you gonna be all right, because I'm gonna be out there.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
We appreciate it. Hopefully we clear everything up.
One more thing, Trippy. You said you wanted people to, we got homework for this week.
Yes.
What do you have to do? Can you, to like set up places and people like in our churches or something to have people come register to vote? I know you need somebody with some kind of license or form of something to register people to vote, but can we do that this week? Because I'm ready.
Okay. All right. That's
Get
good
out
to hear.
there and get people to vote.
All right. Thanks for calling. We're going to answer your question, okay?
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, Tamara Morris was on earlier, and she was saying how, yes, technically we don't have to have a registrar to register people to vote. But if there's an online form that people can get, and as long as it's mailed in, you can still help with the process of getting people registered. I guess being a registrar, going through a registrar, is probably the quickest way and the simplest way to do it. But again, I'll let you.
No, what you're saying is correct. And I mean, if you really want to go get registered, go straight up to the Department of Elections in the state building and register right there in their office.
Okay.
Then that cuts all of the foolishness out.
Okay. All right. So we have to wrap up. This is your show, so I'm gonna let you.
Well, we transition. It's our show tonight, but I guess we want to thank everybody for joining in.
Go ahead.
Community Crossfire and Congo Hour mixed together.
Yeah. Again, I want to thank Mr. Guy for allowing me to take take up his time, I want to thank all of you for continuing to support us at the Congo area and support me on city council. Again, my election isn't over as well. I do have a Republican opponent also, so I'm just going to ask for your continued support. Great conversation. Maybe we have to do this more often.
Absolutely.
All right. Thanks a lot.
Take care.